Is this thing on? Hello. We are here. We are amongst it. We are ready. Welcome to Uncensored Radio, coming to you live this week from a newly refurbished center in Guantanamo Bay. Welcome to UCR Live. Oh dear, so much to talk about. But we have a special guest today. We have the lovely Renata Daniel, half of the Ghost Grannies. She is here with us today and ready to have her thoughts. G'day, Joe. She's here. She's ready.
Hey, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
She's very confused about life. Hi, Steve, Renata, and Mira. And crossover we never knew was happening. Is happening. We're here. It's all good. So, Renata,
Yes.
hi, welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
So, what? Hi, Dogsy. Hi, fuck me. What a week.
No
Yes.
shit.
We will definitely be discussing the week that was.
Oh
It's
my
been
God.
quite interesting. As you can see, we're kind of bare bones minimum panel today because everyone's sick. Everyone's sick and dying, and well, not dying, but just ill.
Can't get good stuff anymore.
Can't get good help these days for free. It's very upsetting. It's very, very upsetting. But Vera's here. I'm here, and I've roped Renata in to jump the bones of this week's news. So it's very.
It's been a while since I've jumped bones, so you're going to have to teach me how to do it.
He bribed you with your coffee, and now the coffee's empty.
No, shit. No,
Oh, no, I bought this along the way.
we know that you've got to keep Renata caffeinated. I've learnt that.
With my seniors card, it's
Oh.
free.
Yep. Free seniors coffee
Got to
here in
get
Australia.
something for being this freaking old. Fucking hell. Honestly, God. Are you allowed to swear on this?
Oh, hello.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
We drop all kinds of bombs. So we got bombs for days. So how are things on the ground, V? How are things over there with you?
It's been a hell of a week. Everybody thought they were out of a job on Monday when Trump dropped his little funding bombshell, but hey,
Yeah.
as luck would have it, we're not for now.
For
For
now.
now.
Yeah.
So he's come up with a couple of ideas, from that point, because that didn't work. That was the distraction for a couple of hours. I reckon he's distracting. He's distracting because there is something bigger behind all of this.
The aliens.
Well, I definitely feel that his tactics are always shock and awe, which is a Nazi term for those who were paying attention. But hey,
Oh,
Yeah.
I know what book he's reading.
Yeah.
If you read one.
It's very, very heavy. Lots to say about computer.
It's an audio book as well. 'cause
Oh,
you
no.
can't
but I think
freaking
he's also seeing what he can get away with. I mean, he's pulled some pretty big freaking stunts in the last 10 days, and oh my God.
Yeah, Dogsy, you'd be having an interesting time, wouldn't you? The man of mystery who works in mysterious areas. He's very
Aviation, somewhere in aviation.
Yes, somewhere. We got in trouble from who we get in trouble from? Or who you
From
got in trouble
Dogsy,
from?
because I
Yeah,
blamed the wrong aviation company.
from
I
Lockheed. You got in trouble from
said,
Lockheed.
from Lockheed Martin, and it was
the people that make make the missiles and stuff.
the
You're like,
people who make the good planes.
Yeah. Don't piss off Lockheed Martin Vera. Not again.
Well, they haven't taken me out yet.
I know. But we've been online last night together. We're just becoming a duo now that the lovely Anne is.
Yeah, she's on holiday.
She's
In
crossing.
She's
Finland,
still in
somewhere.
Greenland or Iceland or wherever she was.
Oh, it's Finland now. Thank you very
Finland,
much.
okay.
She's looking at fjords.
She's staying cool and keeping calm.
Fjords
I
are
haven't seen her
calming.
since the pictures of the aurora borealis, but
Oh, she's busy. She's
Yeah.
eating strange meats and
I
yeah, she's
actually
eating reindeer. How dare she?
is she reading puffin? That's one of those Nordic treats, puffin.
What? No.
Yeah.
No,
I'm sorry.
Don't traumatize her.
reindeer is bad enough. Eating a puffin. God, don't even say it. Roman will be into it.
Yeah, Roman will.
Was reading Chris Hayes' book, The Siren's Call, about how social media is creating a really short attention span and creating these attention deficits that we fill with sound bites, and that's part of Trump's power. So I took a social media holiday this week, and I was offline for 2 days. I slept better Tuesday night, and then Wednesday night I woke up. I slept so well, I woke up before my alarm clock thinking I overslept because I couldn't feel this good and still have not gotten to work.
No, you're gonna
but
leave
then I
social...
opened up my social media to catch up on the show page because today is the show, and my blood pressure went boom.
We got to keep you on a simmer for the end of the show.
Yeah.
Yes, puffin apparently.
Puffin, yes, there are countries where they do make puffin.
Fermented
treats.
Shark in Iceland, not too bad, says Dogsy. Says Dogsy.
Shark are really.
Shana,
Hey, Shana.
How you doing, girl? Long time no see. So, we're gonna keep fighting the good fight for our team that is depleted today, and talk about a few things. So we might as well jump into it because we've got a lot to discuss. And we will look into the ever-shaking bosom of Miss Katrina A. Johnson as we drop this week.
Hot load of hot topics.
You not noticed that before, Renata?
That's startling. I'll put my eyeballs back into my eyes.
That's why we keep Kat on retainer. She needs to.
I wish I could do that with my boobs.
You can. The camera would just have to be down lower.
Yeah, I have to lift them up.
That's it. There you go.
We love it.
There you go.
We love it. Lashana saying hi to everyone. Hi,
hey, Lashana.
Okay, so we'll take a serious turn to start with. We have to talk about the Washington plane crash. I mean,
okay,
it's been a long time since there's been some kind of mass.
Yes, it's been exactly
disaster like that.
19 years since a midair collision over the United States.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's
Well, you heard what Trump's been saying about it.
Oh God, yes. I actually have some facts that I'd like to share with you.
Oh,
about
Shay. We got some crossover. Shay's here.
We love facts. Hi, Shay.
Vera is not Vera's a panelist. Renata's our guest today, Shay. She's
It's very terrible. And today, Mr. Trump held a press conference that I think showed him to be an idiot, but half this country thinks he's God. But he spent the entire press conference talking about how this was a direct result of DEI, and diversity and equity hires are misqualified, lower intelligence, lower psychological capabilities. He went on to insult every single minority disabled person in this country.
Yep.
And suggest that this was the result of failed policies by the Democrats under Biden and under Obama. He forgets that he was in the middle there, and that all of these...
He always forgets that, doesn't he?
All of these diversity practices at the FFA were in place for his entire first term. And he also conveniently forgets that on January 20th, the day of the inauguration, he fired the FAA director because he didn't like the way the FAA director was trying to supervise SpaceX. And since that
touch my toys.
Yeah, since that firing, they have dismantled the air traffic controller. They have had a hiring freeze on air traffic controllers, which has been understaffed for years. They dismantled the Aviation Safety Advisory Committee, and they have offered to buy out, retire, or fire 2 million employees in the federal government. And the first 16 years, not 19 years. The first midair collision in 16 years happened less than 10 days later.
I just think it's too early to be, and it's all over TikTok as well. And there's it's too soon. But like, we don't even know these people's names. Some of their
we don't know their names,
and the national identified, and we're politicizing it straight away.
Yeah. The National Transportation and Safety Bureau is meticulous in their investigations of crashes. They always take the time to analyze the structure of the plane. They take every piece of the plane that they can find. They put it in a special hangar. They investigate the hell out of these crashes so they can prevent them and keep that midair collision number to less than 1 in 20 years. Yeah. But they also go over the black box recordings with a fine-tooth comb. They had not even pulled the black boxes out of the water today when he started blaming this on Democrats, Obama, and DEI. He is just so bound and determined to demonize any single minority or disabled person or marginalized community.
Smells like Hitler to me.
Smells like Hitler. So Dodgy said, that almost gave me a fucking aneurysm. A General Electric T700 powered rotary aircraft doesn't give a shit what color or creed what color or creed is. You do have 2 to 4 years of training. This should have never happened. The radar would have picked up something that big miles off. It was a massive accident. And that's the thing. I don't think we need the conspiracy theories and like the drama. Sometimes things can just be a horrible accident.
Yes, absolutely. But
because of X, Y, Z extenuating circumstances, these horrible accidents happen. It's not because, it's a smokescreen for something. It's not necessarily a smokescreen for something else. It's just a horrible accident.
But do you have to use every single thing that happens in the world to make it a drama? This is the President of the United States.
This is his shock and awe,
Where is the empathy that so many lives were lost in tragedy? And let's just take a moment to think about all of the families that have been, associated with this trauma. Not kind of go for the jugular and go, well, honestly, who can I F up right now? Because I'm determined to do this.
Right.
Shocking.
Shane makes do you think we could hire enough people in those 9 days to prevent this crash? I don't think that's the point.
I don't think that's the point either, Shane. But I do think that there was Amy McGrath. She's a retired Air Force pilot who ran for Congress several years back. And she was interviewed on a show that I watched earlier today. And she said that the majority of pilot training before they are in the air is done on computer simulators. And the simulator has no idea what color your skin is, what gender you are, what your sexual preference might be, or what disabilities, there might be going down. The simulator is going to grade you on how effectively you are moving that plane in that simulation. Yep. It's the most objective pilot training there is. And she said to blame it on DEI is ludicrous. And yes, he opened his mouth way too early, but he's want to do that.
That's what it is. What I am enjoying, though, I know that, there's been a whole lot of drama and I am enjoying the Schadenfreude moments on TikTok that are happening. Are you following Susan Lambert?
I am not.
TikTok?
I don't.
You need to. She is giving the mean girl. She's like, us mean girls have waited. Retired mean girls have waited so long, and now they're giving us permission to come out and. There's a big fuck around and find out moment for everyone that's voted for Trump because of all this, the SNAP payments getting stopped, the Medicaid, all this stuff, the reaction videos, and then people are like,
I don't think there's enough.
This is what happened.
I don't think there's enough. I still think that people will turn it around and make gold out of it if they feel that they are true Trump loyalists. Well, how deep does it go before you really turn a loyalist? What needs to happen? Because
It
all of
needs
this
to
has
affect them
happened.
directly. I really do believe.
I don't think that even matters. It doesn't matter.
I can't tell you how many Trump loyalists had no idea that Trump was coming for their children's IEPs.
Mhm.
That if your child is autistic or dyslexic or dysgraphic or has any learning disability whatsoever, all of that individual education program is going away. That was one of the cuts on Monday. I don't think anybody realizes how much money the federal government pays into private hospitals, public schools, colleges, libraries.
They're taking away hot lunches too and hot breakfasts.
Yes, for children, the hot lunch, the SNAP program, which is largely funds military families who are living on military wages. A lot of the SNAP dollars are used by them. And
Dogsy's giving controversial opinion. Let's put a ban on eating roadkill, ban on chewing tobacco, no more F-150s, maybe. Yeah, look, that might hit him where they live too, Dogsy, but that's okay.
I don't think any of these people, I had a discussion before the election with a woman who attended a state university. And she's now a nurse, and she's a very successful nurse. She got her nurse practitioner's license. And she was adamant that she is a self-made person, that she paid all her student loans back, that she put herself through college, that she never took a dime, with zero understanding that that student loan was a completely federally funded program, with no understanding that that state university that she pays for is able to offer a reduced rate of college costs because it's funded by the federal and state governments, with no understanding that nurses get reduced tuition costs because they're funded by the federal government. They just have no clue how much government gives to them in their daily lives. And it's really not the people living in the blue states. The blue states are known as the donor states in the IRS. It's the red states who take more than they put in. If this ever gets down to a point where the blue states are saying, we're not paying any more federal taxes, all of those federal dollars that are going into those red states, and there's a lot more federal dollars going into those red states than the blue states, are all going to dry up.
Yeah, but this is all happening. The disillusionment is starting. Like I thought we would have a grace period where everything's shiny and great because he's saved the world and da da da. There are people react, and again, you haven't been on social media. Like I'm a TikTok.
And it really was. I kind of highly recommend it to anybody. I know that I do this show and I shouldn't say that out loud, but I slept great for 2 nights. I really did.
And the wealth, the people that have lived on welfare for X amount of years and now are like, oh, the government are like, hey, you owe us this much money, and that there is a lot of
but
working
that's
class
really
but this is
a very Republican-driven myth in this country, that there are people who spend their years and years and years on welfare because the welfare program is intended to be and has always primarily been a temporary service to get you from a crisis to where you're good. The intention of the welfare program is to get you back on your feet. And the majority of people that use it, but they're such a small minority, and every hateful, every hateful ban that he's talking about, the trans athletic ban. It's like, do you know how many trans athletes are in the whole entire country?
Exactly. Yeah.
Less than 100. The bathroom ban.
Yeah, people worried about these farmers now that are going, we can probably do this for 2 or 3 more weeks without, without migrant workers and stuff. It's like,
how about the fight with Colombia that happened in the last 7 days? It's like, and Trump's walking away saying,
goodbye cigars, goodbye coffee, see you later, but you better buy
no
it
coffee, no bananas. And you know what Colombia buys from us? They buy soy and corn and wheat. Do you know what our farmers make in this country? Soy, Cord wheat.
Yeah.
Look,
You know?
I think that Dogsy's got it. Dude, I don't care who's in the bathroom with me. Just make the gap on the fucking door smaller.
Yeah.
That is very intrusive and a very American thing.
It is a very American thing. I was like thrilled when I went to Europe and the door went all the way. It's like, hey.
Did you notice that? In the public toilets, in the public restrooms, there's a gap in the door.
You see? Yeah.
It's huge. It's like 8 inches. You can crawl under that. You could slide under that door if you had to.
And you can also, like, where the doors meet, sometimes there's a couple of inches as well.
Oh,
like they don't close.
Yeah, it doesn't close
like,
completely.
Most of them close tight here in Australia. You can't. There's no gap.
Yeah.
But there's like, it's a bit. How you going? I'm like, I don't need people seeing literally what I had for breakfast. It's not. I'm not down with it. I don't want to see it. I don't need to know. But yeah, look, he's busy. We're going to be busy discussing him for the rest of forever.
4 years at least, if not more.
Well,
They've already tried to put through a bill that says he doesn't have to abide by term limits.
Yeah, let's see about that.
Thank God that one didn't go far.
The rough reception. I think he's a little bit surprised that the reception has been so swift, because everyone now, and like we said, when the election's over, the job now isn't to wallow in the loss. The job now is to hold them accountable for everything that they promised.
Well,
and
I mean,
hold them responsible for all the actions that they said they weren't going to do, and then they are. Hello, 2025.
One of the hallmarks of our democracy, and I know I've said this a bunch of times, is the peaceful transition of power.
Yeah,
and
they got
the Democratic segment of this country has been so faithful to it that I couldn't help but spend all of Inauguration Day saying, did we just give away our country to a madman in order to enshrine a right that might not exist next, or a tradition that might not exist anymore? But that being said, I had a point I was going to make and I've lost it.
She's lost it. That's right. Welcome to us. Better ventilation, says Shane.
The problem with all of this is that one side tries to be diplomatic and nice because they feel that they are not going to go down to the level of arseholism that the other side is, exhibiting. But there is a point where you kind of go, all bets are off.
Right.
All bets are off.
Right.
We have to tell people what the hell is going on. Bugger the diplomacy here, because we are in deep shit.
Yeah.
And I think they didn't do that. They were too polite and they were too positive unicorn,
right.
farts, all that sort of stuff.
I remember the point I was going to make. The point that I was going to make is that there were some 4 million ballots that were challenged in this election and thrown out because of the challenge. And of those 4 million ballots, 90% of them were Democratic voters in areas of color, and so that was one statistic that never got brought up in the post-election brouhaha, because the Democrats were trying to showcase our peaceful transition and not try to be claim an election was rigged and bullshit.
I did want to talk to you about this, and thank you for bringing it up. Vera, did you see Bernie just railing?
Oh my God, I loved it. Yes, I was.
What?
It was the highlight of my day.
Why does Robert Kennedy sound like he's? Why does he sound like he's talking into a desk fan?
He insists that it's from the worm that got into his brain and ate part of his brain, his temporal lobe. But yes, sure. Bernie was on fire today. Bobby, are you telling me you said this about vaccines? You got the onesies, Bobby.
I don't know how I don't know if he's literally had worms gnawing at his brain. How is he fit for public service just because of his last name?
Just because of his last name, because that's not DEI, because a white guy named Kennedy couldn't possibly getting any special favoritism to get him a job he's unqualified for. Right?
Whatever.
But did you hear his sister? Was it his sister or someone
His
from the
cousin.
family?
It's his cousin.
She was like reading him to filth.
Come
She
on
did.
and say that he used to put like what something
Chickens
into a
and
blender.
mice into a blender to feed his hawks. It's like, don't they eat them whole?
Yeah, no. Why do that when you can inflict pain and misery on it?
Right, you're right. But no, I thought
It
that
got in there because he ate too much canned tuna.
No, it happened because he said he was eating raw fish. He was
What
insisting
kind
that
fucking
cooked
Little
fish
House on the
killed the
Prairie life is he living where he's eating raw fish and dropping deer carcasses everywhere? You're a
and
Kennedy,
the bear
brother.
cub, and the whale
bear
carcass.
cubs. Yeah, like,
Excuse me, what did I miss? What's with the
He
bear
found a bear carcass on the side of the road. He was coming down from his family home in the Adirondacks to a dinner in New York City, and he thought he would pick up the bear carcass because he'd never eaten bear. So he put the bear cub in his Jeep, and he drove to New York City, and he realized he did not have enough time to get it to his house on Long Island before missing the meal that he drove to New York City for. So he left it in Central Park with a bicycle to make it look like it was a bicycle accident. And the whale carcass, he found a whale carcass washed up on the beach. And he went back home and got a chainsaw to cut off its head and put the whale's head on the top of his Jeep and drove back to their house somewhere on the East Coast with the whale carcass dripping shit down onto his Jeep in the hot sun.
Right. There's
He is just not well.
Wrong. Yeah, he's unwell.
He is not well.
He should just go somewhere where there's a lot of sunshine and
and he's one of the men who felt that the loss of masculinity in our society was because we wear clothes, and he was part of the gentlemen who were sunbathing so they could get vitamin D on the skin between their anus and their scrotum.
Oh no, he was getting his yonnies out and getting some vitamin D. And he is not someone you want to see naked.
You know, he was gorgeous when he was younger. He does look like he was.
All the Kennedys were. And then, that curse comes and takes them all out. But,
Yeah, that thing called old age.
And karma.
Right. Well, some of the Kennedys didn't make it there.
Yeah, you get that.
Yeah.
He puts an ex-heroin addict in charge of health. Well,
somebody who's impressed by a name and by whiteness.
And just like hoping that the leadership qualities trickle down the generations, but they really kind of stopped.
Yeah.
Some would question that they were ever there in the first place. That's okay.
Bernie was on fire though today. I was in love with Bernie Sanders again today. But the Dems were on fire. I mean, and I know that I am the rare policy wonk who's going to watch a confirmation hearing that the majority of Americans don't really care who's the secretary of the FAA or what it means to be part of the NIH. They don't care about that shit. I do. I mean, I was an 11-year-old who watched the Watergate hearings. But
she's all about
it. The Democrats.
That's why we've got Vera as our
on fire today.
Queen.
They don't have the majority. They're probably going to lose every argument, or every vote. But they were on fire today.
Yeah, you need people with Bernie's passion that are going to keep yelling because
all you need to really do is keep putting those seeds of doubt there, because eventually they're proven right. And,
Well, you know what the Italians used to say about Mussolini? The trains always ran on time when he was in power. But by the time he was done, they were kicking his head around the square.
Yeah. Interesting. It's a very toxic masculinity state going on. There's a bit more masculinity questions this week. The Conception Begins an Erection Act.
Oh, yes. I read this. Oh, my God.
I had to, as soon as it came across the desk, I was like, this is
It's gold.
tailor-made
It's
for our
comedy
show,
gold.
and it's got to be discussed. Now, I
I
don't
want to
think
know who's policing this.
it won't. Well, it's not going to happen. So this is a
It was never
Mississippi
intended to
senator.
pass. It
Yeah.
was really just some master level trolling.
Yeah.
He
Mississippi
never.
Senator Bradford Blackman, a Democrat, introduced a bill this week that would seemingly ban men from masturbating or engaging in other sexual acts where they have no intent to fertilize an embryo. The bill was titled the Conception Begins an Erection Act and would make it unlawful for a person to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo. It included exceptions for sperm donation and using contraception to prevent failed fertilization. Violators wouldn't face jail time, only a monetary penalties of $1,000 for the first offense, $5,000 for the second offense, and $10,000 for 3 or more offenses.
Oh my God! Yeah. That's a gold mine.
I know, right? If you want
I do.
16-year-old boy. Wow,
I do really
millions.
believe this should be called the Elle Wood Act. Because didn't Elle
Right,
Wood
yeah.
use this in Legally
I
Blonde?
believe so. Something very similar.
But
for
it's
staying out of
master
women's
level
wigs,
trolling.
right? It's brilliant, though. I love it. I think it's so delicious. It's just like, okay, you want to tell women what they can do with their bodies? How about we start telling men to do it with their bodies?
Absolutely.
There was a whole push on Capitol Hill a couple of years ago to say that if life begins at conception, then how come child support doesn't?
Yes.
Oh wow.
That's a
You
good
know?
point.
Then
Very
child
good point.
support should begin at conception.
Yeah,
because
so-
one of the 370 executive orders that Trump had ready on his desk for day one was a bill that suggested that every person they wouldn't pull it off. It was a joke, Shane. Anyway.
And that's his joke for you.
Yeah.
How would they pull
Every
that off?
single person. Oh, pull it off, Joe. Sorry. Sometimes I'm still a little Catholic girl.
That's only for the priests to do, right?
Okay. Not in our school. Anyway, where was I going with this?
I'm sorry, we derailed you.
God damn it, I lost my point.
We stopped.
It'll come back to me.
It'll come back to you. That's good, because if it wasn't creepy enough for, an anti-masturbation bill, how about your dad being obsessed with your bonus?
Oh my God,
yes,
this was
yes.
creepy.
But Brian Johnson is a creepy individual anyway. He looks like a waxwork that's gone wrong and has had so many wrong turns.
Well, isn't he the one that's obsessed with living forever?
Yeah, that's his whole thing, and his biohacking and trying to live forever, and injected other people's fat into his face and had an allergic reaction and all that kind of stuff. But people are saying he's gone too far this time after sharing results of an overnight erection tracking machine for both himself and his son Talmadge, who is 19. Talmadge.
As I said, what sort of name is Talmadge?
Who calls their kid Talmadge?
Who calls, yes.
So this is,
I don't know. We got Elon naming his kids X1 and X2.
Yeah. This is what Brian had to say. His duration is 2 minutes longer than mine. Raise children to stand tall, be firm, and upright.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wouldn't that just be age? Right?
Wasn't there also a point in his
19-year-olds getting boners every 5 seconds?
Wasn't there also a point that he had longer stamina than his son?
Yes, that's what I was about to get into.
Why are you measuring that shit,
because
dude?
It's a literal dick measuring competition.
Why are you measuring that shit, dude? That's creepy as fuck.
The data he posted included the number of erections, average duration, average quality, and overall sleep efficiency the pair have. Though Mr. Johnson didn't disclose why he was obtaining the information, which I think is the biggest red flag. Why do you want to know about your adult son's boners?
I think he may have eaten the same fish as the other guy.
Yeah, it's been sharing stuff with RFK.
Because that's just, yeah. I mean, do we not have more important things to do in this world? Honestly,
I would think so.
if you're going to be that impressive and talented with, you wanting to do stuff, figure out something important.
Well, look, isn't it just a total sign of like the male species that it all comes down to your Wayne?
But how fragile is your ego that you have to measure yourself against your son?
Because they've got to prove they're a real man, Vera. You know that.
Oh my God.
Toxic masculinity. It's just.
It's having such a moment now. It's
right?
I can't get it. I don't get it.
Well,
it's Mr. Trump.
You've got the diapered one in power, and he needs like.
Oh yeah,
everyone's more masculine than him.
He doesn't think so. He thinks he's the alpha.
He also thinks he doesn't smell of feces, but that's okay. That's okay. I think there are lots of people that are willing to, deny him that pleasure and go, he's stinky.
Well,
Now, I've lost one of, as always with bloody StreamYard, it just always decides not to include one of the stories that I want to talk about. We missed a couple of stories last week because we got a bit carried away with life, as per usual. And I wanted to talk about these two in particular because they're in a population that has grown through massive crime and, very earth-shattering crime. I need to understand and get a bit of a gauge on what people think about someone like Susan Smith, who, famously killed her own children, now saying that she is, quote unquote, sorry, she has found God, she has X, Y, and Z. The article is a little bit more eloquent than that because she originally, so do you remember this back in 1994?
Oh, I remember it very, very well.
So
she brought her children to a lake, I believe in South Carolina, somewhere here on the coast. And she put the car onto the pier, put the car in neutral, and let the car roll off the dock into the water, effectively drowning her children. And then she went to seek help and told the people at the time that it was a strange black man who kidnapped her children. A black
man did it.
A black man, demonizing the minority always, But and now she's found God, and so we should all forgive her because it's between her and God now. But
I don't look. I'm really sorry, and I know that we are not the religious members of the panel, and there are people on our panel that go to church and do all that thing and believe in the good big sky wizards and all that kind of thing. If you do that kind of crime, I don't think you get a forgiveness factor. Look, she's in prison to serve time for the crime she committed. Just because she found Jesus doesn't give you a get out of jail free card.
And the thing is, there should be a difference between law up there and law down here.
Right.
So you've broken a law down here, you pay the price. If Jesus wants to forgive you, you'll go right ahead.
That's between you and him.
That's between you and him.
And I want to read a little bit of the article because it puts it into context. So she has told the South Carolina Parole Board in November that God has forgiven her for murdering her two toddlers.
Oh, good on you.
A 7-member board voted unanimously, I can't speak today, to deny Smith's patrol. This is the first time she's been eligible for parole since 30 years in behind bars. She says, I want to say how very sorry I am. I know that what I did was horrible and I would give anything I could to go back and change it. I loved Michael and Alex with all my heart. I didn't lie to get away with it. I was just scared. I didn't know how to tell people that loved them that they would never get a chance to see that again. Here's my thing that I was like, nope, I am a Christian. No, you've lost it. And God is a big part of my life. I know he has forgiven me. I just ask that you show the same kind of mercy. No, because you didn't show it to your children who you supposedly love. And yes, okay, mental health, we get it. Yeah. Jeffrey's not here to do this argument with me today. Mental health is a huge thing. You still did it. Regardless of your mental health. And a big
you
thing
know
that,
what?
we've talked about is, your triggers, your mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to look after yourselves and your family. And I can't get behind this forgiving people that commit crimes like this.
I work every day with some of the most delusional, crazy schizophrenics in the world. I know for a fact that they are not responsible for the things going on in their mind. And I also know they wouldn't hurt a flea. I've never been afraid to be alone with them. I've never been afraid to I've never been in a place where I wasn't able to talk them down. So to blame it on mental health, I know that mental health is part of the equation because sane people don't kill other people. But to demonize the mentally ill is wrong too. But I have, me and God broke up a long time ago. I always remembered his birthday. He never remembered mine. He was a shitty fucking boyfriend. Anyway, this is one of my biggest conundrums with Christianity is you can be one of my biggest.
Right, sorry.
Is you can be the kindest, most gentle, most giving atheist in the world. You can give to charities. You can help the poor. You can be out there every day living the word of Jesus. But you won't go to heaven because you didn't accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. But you can be the worst human being in the planet. You can kill, you can murder, you can rape, you can steal. And as long as you accept Jesus before you die, you get to heaven.
Yeah.
That's just the priests, right?
I do want to mention the comments that her ex-husband made, though, as well. So David Smith, her ex-husband, the boy's father, was joined by members of the Smith family to, witness the prosecution, all that kind of thing. He testified against Smith with a photo of his son's pinned to his shirt. It's been a tough 30 years, he said. I've never felt any remorse from her, and she's never expressed any to me. She came pretty close to causing me to end my life because of the grief that she brought upon me. Ultimately, to me, she's only served 15 years per child, her own children, and that's just not enough.
Yeah. True.
I mean, if you found God and all that kind of stuff, isn't that like your 12 steps? You've got to make amends to all these people that you've hurt.
Right.
Maybe going to the father of these children that you killed and making amends to him first, but instead of going, oh no, it's okay because old mates forgive me.
And what's she doing well in prison? Is she working in the prison library? Is she helping acclimate new prisoners? Is she doing something remarkable in prison? Is she showing some sort of, rehabilitation inside those bars?
Exactly. But it's like, go back, we talked about it when it happened, when Susan Atkins from the Manson family was trying to get compassionate leave because she was dying of cancer.
Right.
I'm sorry. You killed a woman who was 9 months pregnant.
And her child.
And her child. And other people. You didn't show any compassion to them. So why should we now show compassion to you because you found Jesus and you're dying? You got a lifetime, even though it was in jail. You got a lifetime to live your life. You took that choice away from those people. You don't get a second chance when you commit these kind of crimes. I'm sorry.
Well, any kind of crime. There was a local crime here that didn't make the national papers. It was a DUI crime and a road rage crime. Somebody got cut off. He got mad. He chased the gentleman down. It was a young man. The old man was the one that had the road rage and the DUI. He chased the younger man down and shot him and was doing time in prison. And he and his family have appealed to the local courts here in central New York multiple times because he has cancer and they want him to die at home. And it's like, well, God, that young man is never going to see his children again. Their children are going to grow up without a father. And he didn't get a
Tough
chance to die with his family.
No.
Yeah.
A Dogsy has a solution, by the way.
Oh.
No, let her out, but she has to live with Oscar Pistorius for 5 years. Eventually, it'll solve itself. Oh, Dogsy, what would we do without you?
It was an intruder, Dogsy. He told us.
It was. He told us, and then started dating someone who looked exactly like his ex-girlfriend that he killed.
Oh, I know. That's so creepy. What is up with those South Africans? They're so creepy.
I want to talk very quickly about Wendy Williams as well. Now, she came out of the wilderness a couple of weeks ago now and did a radio interview after being declared mentally unfit to manage her own finances and in the throes of horrid dementia and, losing cognitive function. And she went on her old radio show to kind of dispute these facts. Well, not kind of. Outrightly dispute these facts and talk about being stuck in this conservatorship that is only meant to be a financial conservatorship. And she is now, these people are telling her who she can see, where she can go, all of that kind of stuff. She says that she has about $15 in a bank account that she can access from Wendy Williams was a huge TV personality.
And she was her own executive producer, so she made all the cash.
She should have that money.
She should have that money.
Even if it's in a financial trust. And go. You can go.
Conservatorship is such a slippery slope. It's so easily exploited,
Right.
There are people who need it. There are times but it should only be a temporary thing. It shouldn't be unlimited. It really needs some time limit to be reevaluated in a year, in 2 years. If the doctor signs off on you need to have some kind of time limit on a conservatorship.
A renegotiation period.
Yeah, a re-examination period. Yeah. I think for most conservatorships, you're required to have several doctors sign off on a statement of incapacity. Can't they have another physical in 2 years to see if they've improved? Or 6 months?
I guess it depends who's in control of the doctors
right.
they're seeing, because that's what we saw with Britney. And Britney Spears has allegedly reached out to Wendy Williams and said, "You can have my lawyer."
Yeah.
So we all know he worked miracles for Britney, whether you believe that she's capable or not of still doing all that kind of stuff by herself. But you know what? She is free out of that conservatorship.
You know what? If she were a man, she'd never have been. That would have never been awarded. No. If she were, she got that conservatorship because she was a woman.
Yep.
Charlie Sheen still manages his own money. We know he's crazy.
He's winning. What are you talking about?
Tiger's blood. Robert Kennedy Jr. is driving around with a whale's head on his fucking car and is going to be confirmed as head of the national health.
I don't think, I love that he's the head of national health and he sounds like he's going to die in the next 5 minutes.
He's so, his views on health are so ridiculous. I mean, he has some good views, such as that we have toxins in our diet. I've been saying this about American diet forever. But then he throws in, are you throwing your hand up for a reason?
No, I was turning on the air conditioner. It's starting to get warm under the studio lights.
I'm freezing. I'm sitting here looking like Granny Gray in my shawl.
I did not realize that 90-something% of all of the, I think, beef cattle that are slaughtered in America are Chinese factory. So the Chinese are doing it.
The factory farms here factory farming has taken over here in the United States as well, and one of the really disturbing things that I heard this week or read somewhere, I consume so much information. Sometimes I forget my sources, but the majority of organic beef, grass-fed organic beef sold in this country has been raised in a factory farm and has only been organically grass-fed for 7 to 8 months before they're certified organic.
Yeah, it's what it says on the label, right? You're going to read that fine print.
They're standing on grass. What more do you want?
Yeah, right.
Not being so picky, everyone.
But here in central New York, where I live, water is one of our biggest assets. I live in the Finger Lakes. And I don't know if you guys got to see any of our Finger Lakes while you were here. But
Jeff took us for a little drive out to one of the lakes. One of the small ones.
But the water table is very close to the surface. And these factory farms have these sewage pits where they put all of the animal droppings, and it seeps into the water table very quickly. And we have people in downdraft from CAFOs. Yes, absolutely. Downdraft from these CAFOs, the downstream from these CAFOs, who are coming up with all sorts of autoimmune disorders and illnesses caused by these sewage pits. And it's leaking into our water supply all over the place, and nobody's doing anything to stop it. You know,
that's because of all of the stuff they're feeding the animals to keep them alive before they kill them.
I'm really sorry. I have to read this comment because it's typical Dogsy. The average RFK speech. There are too many toxins in our diet, too many dyes, and high fructose corn syrup. That's why I eat my own jizz with cracked black pepper from the Alaskan. Oh, look, if it wasn't too close
but that's
to the
his
truth,
reason for
Dogsy.
eating roadkill, because he knows that these wild animals haven't been raised in
But they don't
factory
know
farms.
But he doesn't know what kind of like natural shit go. Like they have like weird tapeworms and shit. That's how your brain got eaten, bruh.
How do you know that how long that whale has been on that beach? You know, what kind of sepsis is set in that carcass? You know, you took the freaking bear cub on a 4-hour road trip in a hot car. Do you think that didn't cause some sort of rot?
Yeah. He's obviously never watched Naked and Afraid.
I think he wrote it.
Well, when he's naked, we're all afraid. That's okay. We get that. Now, I want to, we're going to end on a little bit. Oh, actually, I want to quickly mention this because this came across and there wasn't really a huge reaction. That Pee Wee Herman, we remember?
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yes.
Paul Rubens. In his posthumous documentary has revealed he was homosexual.
I thought that was common knowledge. I didn't realize it was a secret.
I think it was when he got caught doing the knuckle shuffle at the theater. I think it all became.
I thought he was all the whole time.
I did too. I thought that was common knowledge.
No, but I just don't think it was a publicly acknowledged thing. It's one of those hush hush, like Rock Hudson before
right
AIDS diagnosis.
Well, Rock Hudson actually married a woman.
Yeah. Well, look, they've all been there and
Who
done that,
hasn't?
right? Ask James Dean, ask Tab Hunter, ask all those boys, all those fucking boys that are busy. Now we're going to talk about the Oscars Best Picture nominations. Maybe a tautology because some of these movies, man, I have never heard of, and the more that I keep seeing about Amelia Perez, how is this movie in contention for Oscars? I am stunned. Have you seen any of the clips from Amelia Perez?
No.
I saw the whole movie.
Yeah, you watched it. So do you want that time in your life back? Or
that's 2 hours I'll never get back.
Story about the people that don't know.
The story is about this Mexican drug lord who decides that he wants a gender transfer. He wants to transition into being a woman. So he approaches this lawyer who's a very dark-skinned Mexican woman who's brilliant but can't get ahead because of the complexion of her skin. There's a lot of undertones about racism and classism. And so he uses this lawyer to move himself to transition to a woman without anybody knowing and with everybody assuming that he died. But then he finds that she, once they've transitioned, finds that they miss their children. So she concocts this elaborate plan to get back to his widow and his children, her widow and her children. And it's a musical, and lots of people die.
Okay.
Musical.
Okay.
Let's put musical in massive, massive air quotes.
There are more than 3 songs.
I know, but they're not well done.
There's a big, huge dance number. I thought this movie could have used a lot of editing before filming. Perhaps a rewrite or two would have made it brilliant. I thought it had
actual
concepts of a plan, but I did not think that this film succeeded. And
do you think it's a virtue signaling moment for the Oscars?
I'm sure it's virtue signaling because of
we've had Oscars So White,
well, Oscars So White and all of the dark-skinned hate in this country right now, But
I don't know whether holding this bad movie, let's be honest, holding this bad movie up as a paragon of the art form is helping to put it next to, all right, and I'm going to sound like, well, not cis white male, but I'm going to sound like a white male, to put Amelia Perez as a musical, quote unquote, up against Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
That's like comparing a horse and a broken leg lizard and saying they're the same thing. I don't understand.
Well, I also, and this is my own personal hubris here, I can own it. I also am very confident that there isn't a movie that's smarter than me,
Right. Yeah.
So I think that a lot of times the Academy votes on, that's a very highbrow movie. I'm going to vote for that one. It's like, no, it's not that highbrow. It's not because you don't understand it. It's because it sucks.
Exactly. Yeah. You can only hide behind the academia of the film.
I think the academia of it propels it forward, and without the actual. That being said,
trans person. It's like, yeah.
I do think there's some brilliant performances in it. I do think Zoe Saldana is great.
But and we said the same. We said the same thing in our Wicked review. If you're gonna make a musical, hire people that can sing.
Yes.
Because kind of dependent. It's kind of like hiring a blind limo driver. You wouldn't do it. Like, you want to arrive at your destination. You want to get there safely.
Mm-hmm.
Every clip I see is that sex change operation. Hello. Do you have information about sex change operation? Penis to vagina. It's like, this is Oscar worthy?
That's terrible.
Oh yeah, I'll show you the clip later. You will be amazed.
It was all in Spanish.
But when did they stop actually looking at the artistic quality of the movie?
If you ask the members of the Academy, they will assure you that they have not ever stopped looking at that. But as a cinephile, I've seen them it happen 100 times over.
Well, look, you're moderately warm, so we might as well stoke the flames and get ready for the section that we love to call Vera Vance. Come on, do the title. You can do it.
I want that picture and that title at my funeral, okay?
I will make sure it happens. I will be on it, Vera. Don't worry. And it will we're going to smoke machine come out. It'll be great. All right, here she goes. 3, 2, 1, vent.
Well, kids, I actually wrote 2 vents this week because I was sure that one of these topics was going to come up, and unfortunately, both of them have come up.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. So I was going to talk about the plane crash and the unfortunate accusations of DEI, inadequacies, which the president made with very little knowledge. And when the reporter, who I do need to commend, Caitlin Collins of CNN, pressed the issue, he insulted her intelligence and suggested that she might have been a DEI hire. And he continued to insist that it was psychological and emotional qualities that made DEI hires incapable of doing the job of better qualified, psychologically whole white people. Anyway, we railed about that plenty, but we just touched upon the other one, and that was the mysterious recurrence of symbolism in the Trump presidency from a certain dictator of the 1930s. You know, we had the spearhead salute that Eric Trump was doing at the inauguration until his wife forcibly slapped his hand and told him to stop. And then we have the Roman salute that Mr. Musk did not once, but twice. And people in the audience returned the salute, which we all know is the Sieg Heil or Nazi salute, no matter how many times they try to pretend it was "my heart goes out to you." Yeah, this is where my heart goes. But let's talk about the shock and awe. Shock and awe was the term that the rest of the world used to describe the first 56 days of Nazi Germany, when Hitler completely dismantled the constitution and democracy that was in place and elected him in 1936. So Trump keeps using that term, shock and awe. And we're only in day 11, 12. We got to be vigilant, kids. This is the time to stand up. For every single time you read about a history lesson about Nazi Germany and you thought, how did the people of Germany let this happen? This is that inflection point. If you give a shit about democracy, you need to stand up now. Now is not the time to say, oh, but eggs are 40 cents an egg. Fuck you. They're going to be 90 cents an egg before we're through. And you're only going to be able to get 5 for a family of 4. Wake up. Stand up. On his way out the door, Jim Acosta, who was fired from CNN because he refused to bend the knee to the Trump administration and would not promise to go gentle on Trump. He gave one of his final speeches, and it was his final editorial. That's the word I'm looking for. And it was, be faithful to the truth. Stand up for the truth. The truth is important, and the truth matters. And never forget that, no matter how many times they lie to you. This is that point, America. Stand up. Don't be swayed by the path of least resistance, because it's not going to lead you to a very good place. History does repeat itself, but we can learn from history. And this is the point where we all need to speak up. Now, I can call my senators and talk to them about this, but all my senators are blue because I live in a blue state. But if you live in a red state or you have a red congressman, you need to get on the phone and you need to give them what for and make sure that they know you'll be voting in 2026 and you don't like what's going on in Washington. You don't like the budget cuts. You don't like them cutting care for the elderly, care for veterans, care for children. Tell them you don't think that they're going to find any criminal immigrants when ICE is raiding an elementary school, because they're not. 5-year-olds just want to share crayons. They don't want to steal anything from you. But they're doing it to be cruel because they know if they take 2 kids out of school, they will flush out a family, and that will bring their numbers up. And they're deporting people who haven't committed crimes. It's going down. We are in that inflection point. And that bullshit in Guantanamo Bay is a fucking concentration camp. It's the same thing as Auschwitz. The only part not there yet is the ovens. And we don't know if he's willing to go that far or not. We do know from his first wife that he worshipped Hitler. And the only book he ever read, according to her, was Hitler's biography and speeches. Stand up, America, or we aren't going to take another breath in a free America.
Vera, can I add to that?
Please.
My mother spent the last 6 months of the war in Auschwitz. She survived only because it was the last 6 months. She stood in front of a firing squad 4 times. So they would do a count when they lined them all up. And today we're going to kill every 4th person. today we're going to kill every second person, right? And so she missed that number 4 times. She stood 4 times in those lines. My father was in a concentration camp in Germany that was for officers who were captured during the war. Both of those people had PTSD for the rest of their life from everything that occurred. So we have to think further than what is going on for the society right now. This takes generations to heal. I am a victim of their PTSD, and I have mental health issues because of what happened to them. And they were lucky enough to get out. They were lucky enough to get out after the war. They had nothing else to go back to. I don't think people realize that 4 years it's not going to take 4 years to destroy this country. That's too long.
56 days is when Hitler did it.
It will happen in a heartbeat. People will turn around and go, when did this happen?
It's
too late to wait 4 years.
I don't think it's a coincidence. Like, I think, we talk about fate and synchronicity. I don't think it's a coincidence it's the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz and all of this is happening.
I don't either.
So again, I'm going to go back to what we said. Post-election, you can wallow, you can be sad, you can do all that stuff, but the job now, moving forward, is to hold the people in power responsible and to, call them on their bullshit and stand up against things that are wrong, morally wrong.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. That's how you move forward. That's how you survive this 4 years or this next week or this next month. Whatever you do, you keep the faith that humanity can be good, can be kind, can be generous, can be accepting, can be inclusive. But you don't have to let that toxicity, breed into your life. You lead. And
don't let them steal your joy.
Exactly. And that's why we're here. Now, while we have you, we have to point out that we are a bit shaky on the audio at the moment because we are moving over to Spreaker, or we have moved over to Spreaker. So if you've been missing the audio version of the podcast, it is still going live every week. We are just only on Spreaker at the moment until we get our RSS feeds and everything over there. The good thing about us moving to Spreaker is if you go and listen to our episodes, I think we've made 30 cents so far.
All right. Woo-hoo!
30 cents we didn't have before. So if you don't follow us,
in another week, we can buy an egg.
1 egg to share for all of us.
No, the prices would have gone up by then.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us today, Renata.
I know. Thank you, Renata. And thank you for sharing that story.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back at you again next week with some weirdness and wonderfulness and keeping the bastards honest. But until then, don't eat dead bears and dead bears.
Oh, well.
And stop thinking about your son's erections. That's all I've got to say.
And nobody needs a suntan on your taint.
True. Imagine the sunburn. Ooh,
I know, right?